Hi everyone. By this time you probably realize I'm not in today. You have a sub. But I do have an announcement to make, and that announcement is that we will be doing something called the Nerf Lab. The key to the Nerf Lab, I'm going to ask you one question. You're going to have to support it. Just like with any science, you got to back it up with facts. But the main question here, which is better? Nerf or the generic kind of Nerf you get at Target, Buzz-Bee toys? That's your big question. Buzz-Bee is significantly cheaper than Nerf. Should I get Nerf or should I get Buzz-Bee? That's going to be your big question. You should probably write that down. In the Nerf Lab, the key to this, which one shoots farther, which one has a better muzzle velocity. I want to know everything about these Nerf launchers. I want to know everything there is to know about them. I'm not going to tell you how to do it though. You have to make your own procedure. You have to make your own data charts. You're going to have to figure this out like scientists, because that's what scientists do. By now, you will have had all three of these equations. Kinematics equation 1, velocity equals velocity initial plus acceleration times time. Position is equal to the initial position plus velocity initial times time plus 1/2 acceleration times time squared. The next one, the third, velocity squared is equal to the initial velocity squared plus 2 times the acceleration times the distance. It's very important that you use those. Those are your tools. Couple of catches. 1, you are allowed to use a meter stick. 2, you are not allowed to use a stopwatch. No stopwatches. There is a reason for this. The reason you're not using a stopwatch is that our reflexes are not nearly fast enough to catch what we're trying to measure. Most of that time is going to be taken up with reflex. So we're not using any stopwatches. Something that's very, very easy, something that's very, very nice to use are meter sticks. Now we run into a couple of problems with meter sticks. One is that you can have one meter stick and two people are going to say, hey, I see something different. So here's a meter stick. Say this is a zoom in of 3. This is 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, 3.4, 2.9, 2.8, 2.7, 2.6. Say you measure something up to here. Say it looks like that. Someone can say, hey, it's 2.8. Someone can say, hey, it's 2.9. Then you're going to get the person in the group going, hey, looks like 3 to me. The question is, can we estimate to 3? We certainly can. We can, but is it going to be as accurate as, say, 2.9 or 2.8? We don't know. We don't know. Probably not. It is between 2.9 and 2.8. The key to this is knowing which digit is a significant figure and which digit is not. So over here, 3. That is normally a significant figure. But in 2.8 and 2.9, 2.8 or 2.9, we have one digit we know is going to be right, and that's the 2. Definitely going to be 2. Now it's either going to be 0.8 or it's going to be 0.9. This is the digit we're not sure about. So don't say it's 2.85. Just say it's 2.8. The last digit is uncertain. That's the key about significant figures. You just want one digit at the end to be uncertain. So let's move on. Meter sticks. No stopwatches. I want you to test 3 Nerf guns and 3 Buzz-Bee guns. I have enough. You only take out one at a time. What you're going to be doing right now, while I'm not here, I want you to write a pre-lab report. This pre-lab report will have The goal of the lab, what you're trying to figure out. Let me write that darker. The goal of the lab, what you're trying to figure out. The goal, or the hypothesis. I want you to tell me which brand, Busby or Nerf, which brand is going to be better. I want to know this. And I want to know this before you do the lab. What your predictions are, because you have to think, you have to make a hypothesis. So I want that in the pre-lab. What I also want, detailed procedure. You'll notice, I'm not telling you how to do this. I haven't even given you a hint. I'm not even letting you use a stopwatch. I want a detailed procedure. How are you going to solve this? How are you going to get that answered? It's very, very important that you give me a detailed procedure. The procedure needs to be detailed enough that another group can take your procedure and do it. That's how detailed it needs to be. If you hand your detailed procedure to another group and they can't figure it out, well, it's not detailed enough. What you're going to need is actually for another group to sign off on your procedure. So you will have your group and you will have another group sign off on your procedure that it is good enough. Each group needs to sign off on a procedure. So you will have one of your procedures signed off on and you will sign off on another procedure. It's important that you do that. The next thing I want from you after the procedure I want the data you'll collect. You're not collecting data today, obviously. Do you see any Nerf guns around? I don't see any. So you got to figure out what data you need. You got to figure out what data you need. Because when I take out those bad boys, you only got a day to finish. So you got to know what data you need. What are you measuring? How are you going to measure it? How is that going to help you? Which brings me to the next one. Formulas and figures. I want you to figure out what you're going to do with that data. Not just what data do you need. What are you going to do with that data? How are you going to analyze it? Are you going to plug it into equations? What data are you going to plug into equations? I need to know all of that. How you're going to figure out. I also want to know what credentials you're using. So I'm going to write that right underneath formulas. Credentials. What are you measuring? Why are you measuring it? And how are you going to determine whether Nerf or Busby is more worth it? Is it muzzle velocity? Is it range? So I need to know all of that before you even begin. You can hand that in to me Monday. That's the assignment for today. If you have any questions, I'm not here. All right? Work it out for yourselves. So let me just review what we're doing. You're writing a pre-lab, a preliminary laboratory plan. The basis of this lab, what is better, Nerf or Busby toys? You can't use a stopwatch, you can use a meter stick. You will have access to both Nerf and Busby. You need to measure 3 of each. What is in a preliminary lab report? It's this, your hypothesis. Which one do you think is better? I need a detailed procedure. I didn't give you a procedure. You need to figure this out for yourself. You are aspiring scientists. Figure it out. The next, data. What data are you collecting? Is it going to be, I don't know, how high up you hold it? How high up you hold the Busby toy? Is it going to be the color of the Nerf gun? Are the darts going to matter? I need to know all of that. Formulas and figures. Formulas and figures. What are you going to do once you collect the data? And last but not least, credentials. Not only what are you going to do with the data, how are you judging which is better, Nerf or BuzzBee? Get this done. I will be collecting it Monday, and Monday is when we'll be beginning. Monday, I bring the Nerf guns. Enjoy your weekend. Get me that pre-lab. Work on it. Groups of 3. No more than 3. That means you can have a group of 2. That means you can have a group of 3. Group of 4 is too big. Group of 1 is too small. Group of 3 only. You may pick the groups yourself. Make sure that all your names are on the paper. Enjoy!